Alright, it's nearly the new financial year and it's time to look at some of the best stocks and shares ISA accounts that we can use here in the UK. I've tried to pull together what I think is a pretty comprehensive list of providers, some older ones with more established names and then some newer ones to give you a good flavour of what kinds of services are available this year to choose from. If this is your first time opening an ISA, I do think that we've got a decent selection this year and you're pretty much spoilt for choice. Now, just some quick housekeeping bits. First up, I've made this Google Sheet, which I've made completely public and read only, which has got all of the platforms inside of it. There is a link below in the description. I'll leave that there forever. I've tried to add on columns for all of the important bits that you might want to know, and I've designed it so that if you scroll to the columns on the right, it still brings with it the names of the platforms on the left and it keeps the headers in, so it should be nice and easy to read. I've done this so that if things change over the year, which they inevitably do, I can edit this and keep things updated. So if you do end up watching this in a few weeks or a few months' time, then what I say in the video is out of date, we can always have this sheet which will be updated. I've even made a little change log down the bottom here which shows what got changed at each date. If there are any mistakes at all in the video, let me know and I'll get that spreadsheet updated. And just before we head into each of the providers, remember that this is just my opinion. There are a ton of providers out there who I won't even know about. I'm not a financial advisor and your needs might be completely different to the things which I think are important. Every provider I speak about will be FCA regulated, but again, double check this for your own protection and make sure that in the event that anything happens to the platform, that your investments and cash are still safe up to those limits. Also, I've never done a video for money or done a single sponsor on YouTube, and this video is no different, but there are affiliate links in the description for some of the platforms I speak about, which does earn me a small commission if you sign up through them, and it will never cost you more to do so. Anyway, feel free to watch other opinions too and check out all of the fine print as usual, but otherwise here's my review of the best ISAs for this year, so let's get started in no particular order. Okay, let's start with Vanguard. I'm currently a customer here with both my SIP, so that's my personal pension, and I have an ISA here and I've used them for a couple of years now just coming up. You'd have to be living under a rock to not know the Vanguard name, and they're one of the largest providers of mutual funds in the world with around $8 trillion worth of assets under management. And fun fact for those of you who didn't know, Vanguard actually created the first index fund that retail investors like you or me could actually buy. Anyway, what do they offer? As you can see from their website and my handy spreadsheet, pretty much everything, so you can use Vanguard for everything from a stocks and shares ISA, a lifetime ISA, and even a pension like I do. Everything's managed on their website, and that's where you'll find all of the choices that you can have for investments in their mutual funds and ETFs. Now, unfortunately, there's no fancy app on your phone that you can use like they do have over in the US, but honestly, I don't log in too much, and it's probably better for your own investing behaviors not to be tempted to log in every hour anyway. Now, when it comes to choices of investing, you're only going to be seeing Vanguard's own funds. There's no individual companies here at all. This is all index fund based as well as their own brands of actively managed funds as well. They do also offer managed accounts, I should add, so if you aren't comfortable choosing your own investments, you could go down this route as well. Anyway, on those choice of funds, you've got a good selection, everything from global index funds to regions like the US, the UK and Europe, as well as bond funds too, if you want to diversify a bit. I've done loads on my channel about Vanguard funds and how to choose them, so I won't spend too much time here doing it, but safe to say there's more than you'll probably ever need. Now, let's talk fees, and I'll do this for all the providers that I talk about here. Vanguard's nice and simple and generally known to be low cost. You've got two fees to really focus on, the platform fee itself and then the fees from the funds themselves. The account fee is fixed at 0.15% and limited to £375 a year once you reach those big boy status and get £250,000 in your account. And then the fund's cost depend on what you choose. But overall, you're pretty cheap if you stick to those low-cost passive index funds. So if you choose to invest in a global index fund like this one, you'd have your account fee at 0.15% and then 0.23% of the fund, making a total of 0.38% plus any transaction costs, which do need you to dig into and check those ones out. But either way, that's pretty cheap in the long term. So quick summary and list of pros and cons. Pros for Vanguard are a trusted name, low fees across the board, and a great choice of account types. For cons, I'd say that I wish they had more of their own ETFs available. There's no app and the user interface could be a bit better, especially when it comes to letting you know about when your dividends get paid into your account. And finally, what about any offers for new customers? None I'm actually aware of at the moment, but do go back and maybe check their website if something else comes up. Now, if you want to see more, like I said, I've made so many videos on my channel about Vanguard, including regular portfolio updates. So go and check those out. Okay, next up, the biggest name in the UK and one of the older, more established players, Hargreaves Lansdown. I used to have my pension here as well as an ISA, and I've had a general investing account here in the past. Safe to say I've had quite a lot of experience on this one. HL offer pretty much every account type, as you can see, everything from pensions to cash ISAs to general accounts, as well as stocks and shares ISAs, of course. And they're a full service platform as they offer every kind of fund, company share or ETF you can imagine from pretty much every market in the world. So if it's choice you'll need, you'll probably have everything you can ever imagine. Now, in terms of management, you have their website as well as an app, and there's also loads of information too on their site with all of the data, research and stuff to help you get started and making good investment decisions. Now, let's talk fees and charges, because this platform isn't straightforward and it can get expensive very quickly. There's trading fees if you're buying individual companies and ETFs, but none on funds. These can really add up if you're buying a few different shares, so just be aware of these. But then on the flip side, there are ways to be smart about it and use automatic investing and reduce those fees. And if you bought an ETF rather than a mutual fund, for example, you could also lower your ongoing costs, as an ETF counts as a share, not a fund. So as you can see here, you'd max out your account fee at £45 a year inside an ISA if you just used ETFs and shares compared to any funds they also sell. Honestly, I could make a whole video on fees and charges on this platform because each account varies, so please do make sure you read all of the fine print and work out what you're trying to do here. If you're making lots of trades and don't invest quite a lot of money each month, I think you can get very costly without realizing it, and it was one of the reasons I moved my investments away. However, there is value in security and safety, and HL is a public company and a very well established brand. And let's say, for example, you had a really big portfolio, you might value that feeling of safety and to be happy to pay for it too. But for new investors, I'd say right now you can do better in my opinion. And to get started, there are better options out there. So in terms of pros and cons, pros, like I just said, great brand name, customer service is excellent, the choice is brilliant. But on the flip side for cons, you will pay for it. There's no fractional shares, exchange fees are quite high if you like US shares, and I do think the whole user experience and interface could do with a bit of an overhaul on both the app and the website. In terms of new customer offers, I have no links personally, but there are offers on the website for bonus cash for certain accounts. Like at the moment, there seems to be an offer on the Cash ISA, so make the most of that if you do choose HL. Again, like Vanguard, I've done a lot of content on Hargreaves Lansdown, so feel free to go back to my old video updates, which I'll have a link to in the description as well. And full disclosure, as I said, I've moved my investments away from this platform now. Okay, Trading 212 now. These guys are one of the newer platforms on the block that rocketed to fame throughout the bull market of 2020 and 2021 and have become one of the biggest players in the market here in the UK and across Europe. Although interestingly enough, they have been around for a lot longer than you might think. Now, they offer a general investing account, an ISA, and they do have a CFD arm for traders, but you won't find any extra features like pensions or cash ISAs here. Now, Trading 212 offers pretty much every possible share on the stock market, from UK stocks, US stocks, ETFs, and virtually every other major market in the world. You have both a web platform and a smartphone app to manage your investments on, and inside that you have all the information on each stock, so you can dive in and see all of the price movements, financial details, and much more to help you do your research. Now, as well as having the entire market to choose from, Trading 212 also lets you buy fractional shares, which means that you can invest all the money you have without needing the full amount for a share. So for example, if Microsoft stock price is around $270, you won't have to save that up amount in pounds, and you can just invest, say, £50 if you want. That's a really cool feature and also works with ETFs. So let's say you just wanted to stick with index funds like VWRP, which is a Vanguard global index fund. You could save £200 a month into this rather than going 2 full shares and some change on other platforms. So you can just invest the full amount. Very useful indeed. Now, in terms of other features, you might like the auto invest feature, where you can actually create a portfolio and tell the platform what percentage you'd like to allocate. Again, this is useful if, like me, you want to invest regularly, maybe each month as you get paid. And as a bonus feature, you can even copy other investors' pies, like this one here, which is the most popular one on the platform, run by Almost Daily Dividends. And he's made a portfolio which holds many dividend stocks, if that's the kind of thing that you're into. Anyway, as usual, you can get very carried away, so just be careful. For fees, here's where Trading 212 really shines, as there are no platform fees for your ISA or your investing account, and there are no trading fees apart from the usual ones that you can't escape, like exchange rates for buying anything not in pounds, and you always have stamp duty, don't forget, for UK shares, but that's nothing to do with Trading 212. So personally, in my opinion, this makes it really useful for anyone who wants to save costs and keep more of their money, and also ideal if you only want to start with smaller amounts of money. It's pretty hard to beat free, which is why I've actually got this current tax year's ISA with Trading 212. I actually moved over funds from Hargreaves Lansdown to do it, and I specifically wanted to use it for buying individual shares so I wouldn't have to cost myself £12 every time I traded. And I do also have a small general account on the app as well, which you can easily switch between. Okay, in terms of pros and cons, pros, zero cost stocks and shares ISA, amazing selection of investments, fractional shares and very easy to use. On the cons side, there's obviously no other kinds of accounts like cash ISAs. It's still relatively new, so expect growing pains from customer service, and also it's free because they make their money from the CFD trading side of the business. But it's a profitable one and they aren't loss-making like some of the other newer platforms, so it's both a pro and a con. Anyway, like I said, I've got an ISA here and a general investing account here, and in terms of offers, there are currently two right now. One, for signing up and making your first deposit, you can get a free share worth up to £100. And two, this one's time limited, but you can now get 1% cash back on all ISA deposits up until the end of April. So the maximum cashback could be £200 if you deposit a maximum of £20,000. Bear in mind, as always, to check all the terms and conditions, and it does say that the money will be paid into the Invest account, so the bonus cash won't be inside your ISA. Just FYI. On to InvestEngine, one of the newer companies on my list. This platform offers a general investing account, a stocks and shares ISA, as well as a business account too. And from an investment choice perspective, InvestEngine only offers exchange-traded funds, so you won't find any individual stocks and shares here like on some of those other platforms. Now, in terms of choice though, you'll have a selection of over 550 ETFs currently, and just as an example, you'll find all of the most popular providers like Vanguard, iShares, Invesco, and many others. And interestingly enough, you'll find Vanguard ETFs here that you can't actually find on Vanguard's platform directly. Ones like VWRP, for example, which is Vanguard's FTSE All-World ETF accumulation version, or even VUAG, which is Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF accumulation version, meaning that all dividends get reinvested. Now, consider this a way to invest in Vanguard funds without the platform fee. Pretty cool. Now, from a management perspective, you have both the website and a smartphone app to look after your account, and then once inside your account, you do have the option to make your own portfolio or to have one built for you. If you want to build your own portfolio, InvestEngine doesn't charge any cost for this, and there's no dealing fees either, meaning that all you have to look out for are those usual ongoing costs of the ETFs, as well as the usual spreads. If you want your portfolio managed, so you don't have to even pick any of the investments, then they do have a managed service, and this will cost you 0.25% a year, as you can see here. And that is very competitive when compared to other investing platforms that offer a similar service. From a feature perspective, the platform is all about making things as simple as possible, and as well as the choice of ETFs, you can create your own portfolio where you can pick your ETFs, then choose the weight as a percentage that you want each one to take. So for example, you could pick 4 ETFs and say that you wanted 70% of your portfolio with one, and then 10% for the other 3. And then each month, say, invest £100 and the platform will invest £70 in one, then £10 each in the other 3 for your investment. It's completely up to you how you want to structure things. You can make things as simple or as complicated as you like. Now, in terms of pros and cons, clearly for our first pro, big tick in the box for a zero cost ISA or a very low cost one if you want it managed. An easy to use platform, a great choice of investments with ETFs that you can easily buy in fractions. Now for cons, it's a newer company, so there's no track record like the legacy providers. There's no SIP or other accounts like a lifetime ISA yet as well. Now, as mentioned in a previous video, for the next tax year, I'll be opening an ISA with InvestEngine, and I'll be looking forward to sharing my journey and how I create my own ETF portfolio. So watch this space and make sure you're subscribed if you want to follow along. And finally, in terms of current offers and bonuses, there are 2 right now. Firstly, you can get £25 for signing up and depositing £100. And also there's an offer for anyone transferring or funding ISA accounts with £10,000, and they'll receive an additional £100 bonus. Terms and conditions do apply, but that's well worth taking advantage of if you had, let's say, an old ISA account somewhere that might be costing you a lot of money. Okay, next up, Freetrade. This is another newer company that grew super quickly over the last few years, aimed at making investing super simple and easy. Everything's managed on their app, and there was a web platform, but it's no longer around, at least as far as I'm aware. They offer general investing accounts, stocks and shares ISAs, as well as pensions, and you can invest in everything from UK shares, US stocks, ETFs, and most things in between. What I think is really good about the app is just how simple it is to use, and I've actually used a general investing account for a while now, where I hold some UK dividend stocks, and it couldn't be easier to buy and sell stocks, get basic information, and it's also nice to get notifications directly to your phone when you get paid dividends, for example. Now, Freetrade is different from the other platforms we've spoken about when it comes to fees, as they operate a model that's based on a fixed fee each month rather than a variable one. So rather than saying we charge 0.25% a month depending on what you have invested, their platform fee is fixed, and there's currently 2 different levels of paid accounts that you can have if you want to have a stocks and shares ISA and a SIP account. The only account that's free is a general investing account, but there are limitations. Right now they have what they call a basic account, a standard account, and then a plus account. As you can see, if you want a stocks and shares ISA, you will need at least a standard account, which costs £4.99 per month, rising to £5.99 per month from May. Just be aware of this, they are upping these fees. Now, to add on a pension, you're looking at the Plus account, and this also has some additional perks. One thing worth touching on, and this is all in my spreadsheet in the description just as a reminder, is that you can earn interest on your cash with Freetrade, which is a nice touch, and you get the best interest rate with the Plus account. Now, in theory, £4,000 of cash would get you about £120 per year, which just about covers your account fee if you had that much in the account. Also worth noting is that they are changing the fees on exchange rates too, so if you buy US stocks, the Plus account will charge you a lower fee compared to the standard accounts. Clearly, they want to push people to the pricier accounts. Now the question is this worth it? Well, variable costs versus fixed costs all depends on how big your investing account is. If you have a big account, fixed fees are great, but then on the smaller account, you might prefer to have variable ones like the other platforms. Now I've done a very crude and basic diagram here on screen that shows how as your account gets bigger, fixed costs work out better. Now, as you can see on screen, you'd want a portfolio about £50,000 worth and above to make sense for that standard account, and then around £100,000 or so to make sense on the Plus account. And that's when we would compare it to a similar account which had about 0.15% in fees, like a Vanguard account, for example. So quick pros and cons. Pros, I think the platform's really nice and easy to use. There is a free general account and no trading fees. Fixed costs can be good also for larger accounts too. Then on the con side, I'd have to say high fees for smaller accounts. It's still a smaller company, so there is less track record, and changing fees does make you a bit worried that they might want to put them up again so soon to try and make themselves very profitable. And finally, on offers, they do have a free share up to £200 if you move your ISA over to them, but I don't have an affiliate link, but you can get this directly from their website and it will pop up for you. Right, AJ Bell, now we're back to more established players who've been around for a longer time, and they're also a public company too, just like Hargreaves Lansdown. As a more established player, they have every kind of account available, from ISAs to pensions to junior ISAs to lifetime ISAs, and they offer all kinds of investments from mutual funds, stocks and shares, as well as their own managed investment services. You also have both a web platform and an app to manage your investments. Now, I haven't had any personal experience with using AJ Bell, so I can't give you an opinion on that, but I will say that in terms of costs and fees, you will have to pay for that stronger brand, and it could get pricey if you're not careful. The best way to describe the fee structure is like Hargreaves Lansdown, but cheaper. So for example, fees to buy and sell stocks are lower, and they charge account fees of 0.25% compared to Hargreaves Lansdown's 0.45%. There are ways to keep costs low by being smarter about how you use the platform, so you could set up regular investing to reduce fees, but there are no fractional shares, so just be aware of that if you were looking to buy lots of US stocks. Now, just worth noting, they also have another service called Dodl, which is an app-only platform with lower fees, but the choices are more limited. I did do a review of this a while back, so there is a review there on my channel if you're interested in finding a bit more about that one. In terms of pros and cons, from a pros perspective, you have a wide choice of accounts, an established brand for service, and on the con side, we would have to say that the fees will be higher, and we're missing those smarter features like fractional share dealing from those newer platforms. However, I would say that AJ Bell and others like it would be well suited to people with large portfolios who value trust and safety, but are happy to pay a little bit more. And just for the record, I don't think we should expect all of our investing to be completely free forever, as there has to be money made somewhere by someone. Finally, in terms of offers, I'm not affiliated with them, but you can find some offers here on their website, and there looks to be a few that you can take advantage of right now. Here's another fully featured platform that's well established, Interactive Investor. They offer all kinds of accounts and every kind of investment you're likely to need. Again, like others, I can't say I have personal experience using the platform, so I can only show you this from a very high level, but they're a well-trusted platform that's been around for a very long time. In terms of fees and charges, they offer a fixed fee, so like Freetrade that we spoke about earlier, this will suit those investors with larger portfolios and those people who want to be able to use the platform for everything from their pension, their ISA, and savings as well. However, smaller accounts will probably find that paying £5 or £10 a month will eat into their investments if, let's say, you only invest £100 or £200 a month, as that's a big chunk of that money. Fees will definitely add up as well if you're an active trader, so be aware of this, and if you do want to keep your costs low, you're best off setting up a regular investing plan into the same fund or share each month as you get paid to keep those costs to a minimum. As a quick wrap up on this one, pros, you'd have to say a trusted brand with a wide selection of account types, and on the con side, it will be costly for smaller accounts and it can easily add up if you're not careful. Definitely ideal for those larger, more established accounts who, in my view, are more than happy to value that service and features that you're likely to get. Okay, and that about wraps things up. I did have some other platforms that are on my spreadsheet, so please do go and check that one out. But there are some that don't offer ISAs yet, so I didn't quite want to cover them too early. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I do think we've got some good choices this year, especially if you're just getting started, as everyone's competing for your money like they should be. I'm a really big fan of the newer platforms trying to disrupt a quite old-fashioned industry, But I'm also aware that nothing in life is free, and there should be a price that we expect to pay to protect one of the most important things that we have in our life, and that is our investments. Anyway, for what it's worth, I think you won't go wrong keeping your costs as low as possible, and you may as well take advantage of things in the short term at least, as you can always move things around over the years when things inevitably do change. So you've got two great free platforms, Trading212 and InvestEngine, if you want to keep your cost to zero, and then you have the legacy platforms that might be better suited if you've been investing for a super long time and have a lot going on. Everything I've spoken about is covered by the FCA's Financial Services Compensation Scheme, and I think that's super important to know that your money is protected up to £85,000 per provider, so please always check that if you're unsure. Really, it all comes down to what you need as an investor, so try and figure out that one first. Do you want to dabble in stocks, or do you just need index funds, or maybe a bit of both? How often will you be making trades, and how much money are you going to invest? Also consider if you're going to want to move investments over from an old platform as well. Anyway, for what it's worth, here's my plan, as unlike others, I really want to put my money where my mouth is. My current investing setup is as follows. I have a SIP and an old ISA with Vanguard. I've now got an ISA with Trading212, which was funded from my old Hargreaves Lansdown account. I sold down, which I've now got my individual stock picks in. And then in the new financial year, I'll be making a new ISA with InvestEngine, where I'll be using money again from my old HL account to create my own ETF portfolio, which will be nice and simple. Now, I still also have a smaller portfolio on Freetrade, as many of you might know, which is just in a general account, but I might end up selling that and moving that to InvestEngine or to cover some personal debt that I have. Right, we'll leave things there. Please drop me a like, subscribe, and do comment below if this has been useful for you, and also let me know your plans. I really would like to know. Also, if there are other platforms that you like and rate, feel free to comment those below. There are a ton out there, and if they work for you, then that's all that matters at the end of the day. Otherwise, if you want to see a guide to investing that I did that will take you through everything you need to know right from the beginning as an investor, here I'll leave this one on screen now. But as always, happy investing.